Hey, Wellstad here. If you've ever tried making a Fenix A320 livery for MSFS 2024, you probably realised it's not like a normal aircraft. It doesn't use standard textured forges, doesn't use normal aircraft config logic, and everything is in a weird KTX2 format. So because I've just spent 3 days getting to this point of this aircraft that you can see on the screen, there was no tutorial I could find. There might be one somewhere, but I could not find one anywhere. So, with the help of ChatGPT, I managed to eventually get to the point where my livery, this Air Wales fictional airline, is now in Flight Sim 2020. So, in this video, I am going to cover the points. I'm not going to show you how to paint your aircraft. You're going to need Photoshop or some kind of image editing software. But I am going to show you the other steps to once you've painted your livery in your photo editor, the steps you'll need to move forward to get your image from Photoshop or your editing software into Flight Sim 2024 on the Fenix A320. So there are 3 or 4 things you are going to need to get your livery into the sim. First is going to be the Microsoft SDK. To get to that, you're going to need to go into settings, developer mode, which is under advanced options, and click this on. Once you click that on, back into the sim, you'll now have a little bar at the top of your simulator. Go to help and then click on the SDK installer. This will download a file. Just follow the steps you need to follow and you will have the SDK installed. And you're also going to need the official Fenix Paint Kit, which you can find again on the link at the bottom below. So download that, and then you get these folders. Go into the Photoshop files and just extract all these to wherever you find them. The next thing you're going to need then is the image to KTX2 texture script or MSFS 2020. You find this from FlightSim.2, and I will leave a link to everything you need in the description of this video. Get that downloaded and move that into a folder so you can find it. Next then, you're going to need the MSFS layout generator. So go to the GitHub and download the layout generator from that website. And then a fourth thing, which will come in handy for referencing where your tiles are and what they're called, is this KTX2 tool. And I'll leave a link below and download that. The first thing to look at is the Fenix 320 livery setup. They don't follow the standard texture.xxx folder system. It uses its own folder system, which is the Fenix aircraft-320 liveries. Then we're inside that. Then while we're here, this is where you're going to place your MSFS layout generator file that you've downloaded. So you should have the 3 layout manifest and the layout generator. Then in sim objects, you might already have some liveries. Clicking through until you get to the livery folder, and then you're going to set up your livery folder, which is mine at the top here. So what I did was I just took my EasyJet one, I copied everything from here into a new folder, and then that is it set up. So you've already got, and now you've got a pre-existing livery in your new folder, which is fine, because what it means is you can edit what you need and just keep the rest of the stuff there as it was before. Okay, the first thing I did was use the KTX2 to PNG tool to identify what the tiles are called and what I need to edit. So to do that, we go to your texture folder in your new one and copy everything in here to the input folder of wherever you've put the KTX2 to PNG file. Here's what I did earlier. Once you got that in the input, go to the main folder, double click on the extract script, run that. We'll run for a minute or so. Once that's done, then press any key, and if you go to your output folder, you'll now see you have a ton of PNGs with the exact name that you need to save. The ALBD, the comp, the decal, that'll all become clear as we forward. Once you get the files downloaded and opened in your photo editor, I'm using Photoshop here, then you can then crack on and start painting your liveries. Just to let you know, so this is, for example, is the main fuselage. It's split into 3 different files. You've got the nose, which is between the red lines, the mid is between the green lines, and the aft between the blue lines. I don't know why they overlap, but they do. So all you tend to do then is just edit your file as you need. And then what you're going to do, for example, for the nose section, you can then highlight that. We're going to flatten the image. We're going to copy that into a new tile. By default, it is an 8K texture, but I tend to do mine in 4K. So we're going to go to export, export as. We're going to change this to 50% if you want 4K. And then export. Now, when you first start this, you're going to have to navigate to your ImageToMSFS folder. And then if we're using the reference that we had before from the exported PNGs, that will give you the file structure name that you need. So in this case, we're looking for the fuselage or nose. So it's the fuse 1 LB. So if we just click that once, copy that, go back to our export. We know now it's an ALBD file. So we're going to put that in there, fuse 1 underscore ALBD, and save that. Okay, so now, before we move on to the next step, we need to set up the KTX2 conversion tool. It will look like this, but it'll have stuff where you need to edit. So the first one is the SDK path. Click 1 and then enter. And then mine is already set up as it is this. So you just type in where your MSFS folder is. Then the 2024 version, either Microsoft or Steam. And then down to albedo. So you want 5 quality off, 6 force no alpha on, and then decals on and off. Once that's done, you go to the main menu. And this is what you'll see when you run it. So you see I've got textures in other folders, but the one we're concentrating now is the one I've just pasted in, which is the fuselage. The first thing we need to do is generate a missing XML by pressing 2. And then we're going to go then to generating KTX2 files in the output folder. So that's 4. You'll see 2024 just pop up in the background. Come off. And then this will start processing those files. Okay, and then once that's done, any key, you'll see now in the output, you have all the files plus the ones I had originally. So this is the one we've just made here, the FTS, the fuselage one and the JSON file. What we're going to do then is you're going to take those 2 files, or the ones you've done, and we're going to copy and paste them into your texture folder. And then replace any that's in there. Then once we've done that, we're going to navigate to the folder, the top of the tree, which is the Fenix-aircraft-320-liveries. In here, we're going to put in that MSF layout generator that we had before. And then all we're going to do, we're going to take the layout.json and we're going to drag it top of the layout generator X. That'll flash up. And then it's just a case of loading up the sim and checking your aircraft. And then it's going to probably take a little bit of trial and error to get your livery where you want it to be. But that is pretty much the basics of making a livery for the Fenix A320 in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. If there's been any use to you this video, please consider subscribing. Follow me on TikTok as well, the Welsh Dad, and leave a comment if you have any questions. I might have missed something out. If I have, I will try and address that in the comments. But have fun, and look forward to maybe seeing your liveries on Flight Sim 2. Take it easy. Bye-bye. Something I forgot to cover. Quickly covering that. Hello again. The livery config file, which I mentioned at the start of the video. If you open that, this gives you all the information for your plane. And I realized I forgot something here. So this will be set up with the livery that you copied over before. Just need to change these settings for whatever your aircraft is. And then save that. That is done. So that is the final part of this video. So again, if you enjoy the content, do consider subscribing and leaving a comment.